wanted to talk to you about tonight, and it's something that Natasha and I have discussed. Is there something we want to do, and why I wanted to talk about, I guess, my position and the balance in our business is I just kept getting asked. People keep asking, how do you guys create the things that you create, and how do you balance technical things? Wonderful. Keeps trying to pick up Wi-Fi. How do you create the balance in your life and be able to do the things that we do, how we do it? It wasn't always easy. We went through, when I was coming out of my business when Natasha started 3 years ago, we went through periods where she was feeling isolated, I was feeling isolated, and we weren't serving ourselves and our business, and therefore the business wasn't growing at the level that we wanted to grow at. It was an awful time, and we were focusing on the wrong things. And so that's why I wanted to speak to you tonight a little bit about it. So what I wanted to share tonight is a few different things, but most people here are business owners or are in the process of wanting to niche into their own business. So I wanted to teach you how to switch from being down in your cave or being wherever you're doing your work into your family mode instantly, so connecting back with your partner. How to gain more support than you actually imagine that you can from your friends or from your partner. And also how to prioritise what is important for your business, for yourself, for your relationship, and actually what isn't important. So there are ways of doing that. So who has the time to learn how to do this? Everybody has the time. There isn't a person that doesn't have the time. It's that if they choose to make the time to invest in themselves and invest in their relationships and invest in their business. So the stuff that Natasha and I get done in the times that we get done, other people think, how do you do that? Because you don't take the small steps. Natasha leaps. I don't leap quite like she does, but there are ways of being able to prioritise where you do it. So this is just a few little things that have come up. So all the people that I've spoken to in all my years of business, and then all of the people that are associated with our business, the why the business or the relationship fails. So it's what you focus on is what you get. So when you're starting and when you're new in business, your focus is generally entirely on that business. You lose focus on yourself and you lose focus on your partner. You can lose focus on your friends and your family. So focusing just on the business, which a lot of us do, other things are obviously going to fail. Time apart, so if your partner, say the business owner, you are always out networking and you're tending to spend time with other people in the same position as you form a connection with them, but you can actually lose that connection with your partner or with your friends, and you don't often realise that you're doing it. It's not until something happens and the conversation starts coming out, or you really open up your awareness to it, that you can notice what's happening. So that goes in saying that your partner starts to feel excluded, second best. They actually can feel ignored because you're 100% focusing on your business, and that's when anger starts to build up. Now, I just wanted to ask you a question. Remembering back when you were new in business, or if you are new, did you ever feel isolated? Those feelings of you were doing it by yourself? Yeah, so a lot of people straight away. So I guess what that tends to show me is that everyone in this room is similar to everyone else that we speak to. We're all human and our emotions are all the same. So that feeling of isolation, and it's not a nice thing. You don't know, you feel as though you've just got this weight on your shoulders and you're carrying the load. And if you're the one that's solely responsible for the family income or for where you want to be to create your life, you can feel that burden very heavy, and not everyone can carry it really well. So what a lot of people in business often find that it's really hard for them to do is find that switch off point. So where you can come up and start to be the partner, the wife, the husband, the mum. How do you do that? So we all run hours. People that say that coming into business on your own, you do less hours, that's a load of crap. You probably do a lot more hours than you did when you worked. You just sold at this more time, more hours. It just doesn't happen. But if you're passionate about what you're doing, the hours, as Blaze said earlier and as Pete said, if you're passionate about it, doesn't matter if you're working an 18-hour day. You know, we've done 5 18-hour days in a row, and then we'll choose to have a week off. So work hard, play hard, that's what we like to do. So you need to set a start and finish time, and if you do that, you need to commit that to your partner. Now we know that do the 90% rule. Yes, of course there are going to be times where something comes up. and you need to get away from it, but you at least put some things in place to have a start and a finish time. So, okay, 8 o'clock, I finished with my last client, that's it. So you commit next day's tasks to paper as well. So Nat and I follow the 6-step rule, so no more than 6 tasks for the next day on a sheet of paper. Now we don't do it on our computer, we don't do it in our iPhones, we actually commit that to a little sheet of one of the post-it stick-on notes and write down the 6 things that we want to accomplish the next day. Because any more than 6, the brain starts to get overwhelmed. So using numbers of 6 is really good. And that, they might be that one of them's your networking event, send the email out, connect with 3 people. It can be just things like that. If it's a really big project, you probably want to break that down into your 6 different areas, because otherwise that one big project's going to take up your whole day. So breaking it down to the 6 is really good. Don't reopen your computer. Now, this is something that Natasha and I struggled with early on. So we want to make sure that part of our business model was get back to people straight away, because we realised that other people weren't doing it. They'd wait 3 or 4 days for responses. So we were just guilty. We'd put the computer away and we'd start to have our time. No, let's just check, see if someone's contacted us. Have we got a new form? Have we got an email? But we weren't present for each other. We weren't present for ourselves. So our balance was just gone. There was no balance at all. Share your workday with your partner. So if they're not along on the journey with you, share what happened, because if you're isolated, you're lonely, you're feeling as though you're burdened, if you're not sharing these things with your partner, you're not going to be able to get it out there, and your partner's not going to then understand what you're feeling, what you're going through, and they're generally not going to support you because they just don't understand and know what you're doing. So you really need to communicate it. We've now set ourselves up to do this. Once you've shared your workday with your partner, do 2 minutes of crazy. Now, I'm not going to do that, but what I mean by that is finish talking about your work. Okay, put music on, dance around the house. Put your favourite song on. Do push-ups, just jump, do anything, because what we want to do is we want to break our state. We want to change our state from work state back into family and personal state. And doing something like that, rather than just say, okay, finished about work now, let's do something else. Seriously, who's that kidding? Your brain's still going to be thinking of the work. You're not going to be present into that area. So do something, really mix it up a little bit different. Then you can start to talk about your non-work day stuff, because your partner might, they might be working, they might have been spending time with your children, they might have other interests. So start talking about non-work stuff. What people and where relationships fall over these days is the lack of communication. And Faye, you will have seen this from the role that you have. People don't communicate. And we don't communicate for a lot of different reasons. We feel it's busy, we feel it's not important, we feel that we're just being stupid. Hands up if you feel that you feel as though it's not important. You do. So it's really working out a minimum of 5 minutes a day conversation, and sometimes 5 minutes is all it takes. That might be literally the only 5 minutes that you have. Now, we've got children, Natasha and I, I'm sure a lot of you have as well, older or younger children, okay? It's important that if you come up from your finish of your work day, to actually say and understand, and the kids are running up, to talk to your partner sometimes before you talk to your children. If the children are old enough to understand, just come and have a little play for a minute. Go and do this. Mum and dad are having their time. However you want to word it to them. Come up with a term that the children will understand. And then say, okay, as soon as that 5 minutes is up, then you can all get into the family routine. But the most important relationship that you have is with your partner, and then your children will actually respect and feel loved because they understand that it's important for mum and dad that they're communicating. And that teaches the children some really good habits as well. So you can connect any way that suits. Now, some people are more touchy than others. It can be a kiss, it can be a cuddle. As long as there's eye contact when you're actually having the conversation with your partner. See, 2 years ago, Nat and my conversations about it, we were on track with it, but how it worked was I'd be on my phone, she'd be on your computer, you'd be talking like this, you'd be looking over there was no connection. So if you're not looking at them and you're not giving them eye contact and you're not really nailing down and looking into each other's eyes, you don't have that connection. So put everything away, put your computer away, put your phone away, don't have them with you when you're going to have this 5 minutes. So when support is needed, when do you feel you need support the most? So you really need to take stock of your situation. So understand where you are currently in your business and also where you are currently in your relationship. Is your relationship at a point where you do need to invest some work into it? Most of the time the answer is yes, we're just not aware of it. So just really take stock. Sit down and say, have I been spending enough time with my partner? Have I been understanding and communicating well enough to them what I'm going through and what they might be going through as me being out doing the business all of the time? Talk about your challenges. There's nothing worse than sitting on it. Often a challenge shared makes everybody just feel so much more comfortable. It's like, why didn't I just put it out there before? You know, the amount of times that you might have been having problems with your mechanic or your car's been this, and you go to, you just can put up with it and complain about it in your head. But then you get to a party and you say, you tell a friend, I had this. Guess what? They've got the best mechanic down the road. They fix it the next day and your car's done. If you just communicated it and brought up the things that you're feeling, your challenges that you're having, human nature is there to help each other, so bring them up. And if you want to get your partner involved in it, what Natasha did with me is, I was always willing because I could see where we were going with our business. So yes, I was doing tasks, but what we've helped a lot of other couples do, where their partner's not involved in their business, is just start giving them small tasks, which is something that you're doing with your business. Sit and talk to them about it because it gives them a connection with you and it gives them a little bit of a connection with the business. And this is really valuable if it's someone that's the partner's a little bit resentful of you doing the business or they're thinking that it's taking you away from them. So giving them a little task is something that's really important and it works really well. And do what you're doing now. Talk to other business owners. Get out and meet people. And don't just sit there and try to sell your product or try to work out if you can do business. Ask them how they do it. Ask questions of each other because you will really find that people are willing to share if you only ask, and especially if you're in a community where people are prepared and willing to do it and they'll champion you, because a lot of people that you'll come in contact with won't champion you. They'll be almost trying to knock you down. It's a classic tall poppy syndrome in Australia. You just want to be in an environment where you are feel supported and that all of your challenges can be overcome. And remember why you're doing what you're doing. So we all have our big why and our big driver about why we're in business and why we've taken the decision to quit our job, leave big income jobs to come and do something which you just don't know, it's the unknown. But you're doing it for a reason, for the lifestyle, for the money, to spread your word, to help others. Everyone's got their own reason, but make sure that you have identified what that reason is and just reevaluate it. Just make sure that that is still what is driving you because things can change. So you're not always driven by the same things that you were 12 months ago, 2 years ago. I know certainly I'm not. Okay, so what's important and what can wait? This is really important to all business owners. The answer is everything can wait. Unless no one here is a brain surgeon, are they? Cardiac surgeon? No. Everything in your business can wait if you let it. So nothing, and I'm not talking ignore people, wait 10 days, but if the difference between you having a conversation with someone and your phone ringing means that it goes to message bank for 5 minutes, that phone call can wait. Okay? The person that you are with and you are present with, that person can't because they feel second best, especially if you've got children. Judd, my son, and share this story with you. Judd was 3, he's now almost 4.5, almost 5. Nat got a new phone and she was showing me she was really happy with it and all, showing me all the features, and Judd just looked at it and he almost started crying. And I'm like, what's up? And he wouldn't tell me because the phone at the time was more important to Nat, in his belief, than he was. So we now made sure that we have, even at 5, we share affirmations with Judd. And so every night when he goes to bed, who's the most important person in the world, Judd? You are. Who's more important than the business? He is. He's got to say these things back. And so it's really powerful at that age when he can identify a phone or technology as he sees this as something more important than he is. So that, again, comes down to the communication. So if the phone's ringing, you're having a conversation with your loved one, whoever it is, son, partner, wife, bloody leave the phone. It can wait for 5 minutes because that conversation that you're having might be the most important one that you're going to have. So you're not going to lose clients by letting it go to message bank. And if you do, you know what? If they can't wait 5 minutes, they're not someone you want to do business with anyway. All right, so just think that's really, really important. Also, make sure you do have procrastination awareness of yourself. As Pete says earlier, a bullshit meter. So realise what you're actually not doing. So is it something you're putting off? Because if you're putting something off, there's a reason why you're putting it off. And often just doing that, biting the frog, what do they say, eat the frog, Pete? Yeah. Do the worst task first of all and get it done and get it over the line. And because procrastination is going to kill a lot of things. So taking time out. Now, who's busy? Who would say that they're busy in their business? Most people here? Okay. You're busy again because you make it, but you can be busy for busy's sake a lot of the time. So taking time out is really important. Taking you time. So what Natasha and I set up, and we did this about 12 months ago, was we allowed ourselves 4 hours a week where there's no one around. And you can do whatever you want with it. You want to go and have a facial, you want to go and play golf, you want to do whatever, that's your time. So even if we're busy and we look at our diaries for the week and we don't have those 4 hours, we will make it. Because if you're not having time for yourself, you're not going to be good to anybody. Okay? Make sure you do have partner time, have a regular date night. When you do run very busy lifestyles, plan it. Yes, it's not spontaneous, it's not these wonderful swoop you off your feet, go and do something, but at least plan that date night, plan something to actually happen. Make sure you got your family time and your friend time, that you've got to book the time in, because if you don't book the time in, you're never actually going to do it, because something else will come up. So creating the balance, so plan your week. At the start, if this is something that you really struggle with, you do actually want to plan it, write it in your diaries. Because if you're not doing it and you're putting it in your diary, you're actually not going to take any action with it. So define your work hours, as we spoke about earlier. Really have a time when you're not going to be working and when you are going to be working, when you're going to switch off and when you're not. Yes, you might be on call, but work on the 90% rule. Yes, you're not going to be able to do it all the time. If something, a big contract or something does come up, you can eliminate it that way. Your 5 minutes of your chat, make sure you do commit to that, because that's a really important thing to do. Be present to your partner. So, as we spoke about, with not answering the phone or checking emails when you're having the partner time, that's when you really want to make sure that you're being present with them. And ask for your feedback. If you are at a point where your relationship is a little bit strained or is going through a challenging period, make sure that you've committed and you've made the commitment that I'm going to give more of myself to you, or we're going to have this time together. Ask them. Set down a Sunday night chat, a recap of the week, a 10-minute conversation, and ask for the feedback. How did I go? Did I give you the time? Did you feel as though we connected this week? They're hard conversations to have, but I think as an adult, we do need to be having them, because it's really important to do. So communicate doesn't always come easy. Communication doesn't always come easy. So you need to work on it. So if there's resentment or anger that you know, you've got to start having that conversation, because that's the only way you're going to get your relationship balance back to then get your work balance back. So, okay, so there's something pretty big coming up that I've worked out. So the next slide contains simple yet amazing way to have the life that you want. So we'll get to that, but what I just wanted to reaffirm with everybody, and I don't need the full 20 minutes to speak, I really think I got my message across, hopefully, to everybody about the importance of creating that balance in your life, having your shutdown, cut out hours, communicating with your partner. So I guess we'll go to the next one. Oh. Technology. So I'm sorry guys, I guess you're not going to find out what it was. If you do want to have a conversation with me later on, and I'll see if I can remember, just come up when I'm more than happy to have a conversation. Hope you all enjoyed it. And once again, thanks for coming. So that concludes the presentation tonight. Yes, please.
I have a door prize.
Ah, very good. Blaze has got a door prize. Yep, absolutely.